It's the most expensive and most advanced weapons program ever purchased by the United States, and it will dominate the skies for the next 50 years. It's the F-35 Joint Strike Fighter. The U.S. Pentagon plans on spending about $400 billion for 2,547 of these. Those are going to primarily be used by three branches of the military: the Air Force, the Marines, and the Navy. If you include developing and maintaining the jets, it ends up being about a $1 trillion project. And so to say the F-35 program is a big deal is still quite an understatement. And so the odds of the United States using your taxes to be spent on this are highly likely. So I wanted to share a little bit about this machine you're contributing to. First, I want to talk about how I learned about the F-35. Lockheed Martin came down to A&M a few months ago, and they started sharing a little information about their program. And I did a little research, and I kept up with it. And I always wanted to become a fighter pilot, and the F-35 itself and the technology involved just really fascinated me. So first I wanted to talk about basic facts about the F-35, and then get into the capabilities of it and what makes it so special. The F-35 is actually made in Texas. It's made by Lockheed Martin in Fort Worth, and they're making three different types. There's a F-35A, B, and a C, and each variant varies on how they take off and they land. So the A variant is your conventional landing and takeoff by like any other jet, and the B variant is actually really cool. So it can take off on shorter runways, so it doesn't need as long as a runway. And the way it lands vertically. I can show you a little picture here. One second. So as you can see, what happens to the afterburner is it tilts downward, and it allows the plane to hover above ground. And this afterburner, it's actually made by Rolls-Royce, so I thought that was pretty cool. And also there's the C variant, which is the one that lands on aircraft carriers out at sea, and that's going to the U.S. Navy. And each jet costs about $100 million, and to put that in perspective, that would pay the yearly salary of about 2,000 teachers. So it's quite a bit of money. Now that we looked into some basic facts, let's move on to what makes this jet so special and expensive. The F-35 has the most advanced stealth fighter jet, and this means if the pilot is actually doing his job, then he shouldn't ever be detected by the enemy. So, the stealth ability of the F-35 comes actually from the shape of it. You see the aerodynamics and the seamless of the outer body of it. It doesn't allow radar to bounce off of it. So how radar works, the enemy emits radio waves, and if they have no place to echo back to the enemy, it won't be detected. And they actually drop the fuel tank off of, or the external fuel tank off of it. So it carries less fuel, but they dropped it because it wasn't aerodynamic enough. And it's actually made out of a fiber mat material, and they coated it with a radar absorbent material. So the radio waves will actually scatter and disperse and absorb. So it's pretty stealthy. If the jet is somehow detected, the pilot is equipped with a helmet mounted display system, and basically what happens is all the pilot has to do is look at an enemy, and he can trigger it to fire a missile with using just his helmet. So he no longer has to mess with any of the dashboard of the cockpit. his helmet can actually do it for him. And the software in the F-35 is really advanced, and it can detect missiles from up to 1,200 miles away. And next I'm going to get into more info about the helmet, and because it's such a huge part of what makes the jet so advanced. And get you a picture here. This is the helmet, and like I was telling you before with the helmet mounted display system, instead of like all the screens on the cockpit, all the screens are actually implemented into the helmet with all the software. And I kind of think of it like how Iron Man does it. I assume that's how it works. And what's actually really cool is the exterior of the entire plane has 6 cameras around it, and those cameras are synced to his helmet, or the pilot's helmet. And if he looks around the jet, he can actually see through the jet. So if he looks between his legs, he can actually see the ground he's flying above, which I thought was really cool. And this gives the pilot more situational awareness, which is really important when you're flying. And now let me close by saying what we see by the development of the F-35 is our country preparing itself as far as technology allows us for the future of aerial warfare. And if you want to be the strongest military presence on the planet, it comes at a steep but necessary price. Well, that's all I have for you. Thanks for listening.